Hello and welcome to the GuardMetrics OfficerMetrics Mobile App training video. This is the first video of this sort being made for the new app, so you will see rapid changes in the near future, which will just make things easier for you, but this will cover the core features that are not going to change other than, again, becoming simpler. When you when you click the icon for the OfficerMetrics app, it's going to ask you to enter your username and then your password. If you forget your password, you just click that forget password, and if you have a registered email address in here, it will send you an email immediately to reset your password. Now, it may be that you do not, in which case you need to call your manager and they can reset it in the management piece in the background here, or they can add an email address for you in your user profile so that you can reset it yourself. We're going to go ahead and just log in with a username and password here. For those of you that have used the previous apps, you'll see that right now you can view this in light mode or in dark mode now. It's that simple. Toggle's right there for you. You soldiers that are working at night, you can switch it right there to night mode, so it's not glaring anymore. I'm going to show the video in light mode here. Now, what I'm going to mention first off is the buttons that I will be covering at the end are going to be Choose Site, Supervisor, and Register NFC. And the reason is those are additional permissions that will not be necessary for a security officer that is doing their rounds and so forth. So we will cover those at the end for the supervisors and managers who need to know about that functionality. So log out is in the upper left-hand corner, and your user manual is in the upper right-hand corner. User manual, it's a very short user manual. There's not much to this. It's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is super simple. And by the way, this is mostly graphics, you know, showing you what buttons do what and so forth. But anytime you hit the back arrow, it takes you back to the app. Troubleshooting is this simple. If you ever run into anything weird, if anything goes sideways with the app, there's a one-stop shop troubleshooting procedure. These little lines down here in the lower left, you click on that and you click close all. That's it. Then you go back and you click on the app and it'll resync. So whether it tells you you're offline when you know you weren't really offline, or it's just doing something funky, I can't think really right now that we've worked most of the bugs out. But if it does something that it shouldn't, just touch that, close all, reopen the app, and you're all good. All right, that said, and it's all there at your fingertips, that information and everything else you need to know about the app under the I for information. I will mention too that if you have clock in and clock out functions that you're scanning or doing activities for, that you will not need to log out, because if you clock out, it automatically logs you out once all this stuff is passed through. I bring this up because that's an automatic, but if you log out when this is red or yellow telling you that everything has not gone through yet, then you could lose that data. So if you're in the basement of a hospital or somewhere where you have no reception and this is red or yellow counting down, it'll ask you, are you sure you want to log out? When you click this, it'll say, are you sure you want to? Like I just clicked it and it says, are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to say no. So don't log out unless that is green. And as long as you have a signal, it'll be green. And other than that, you can ignore it for your whole shift. If it's yellow, red, it doesn't matter. You can keep on going. Scans work and so forth. And you can just keep doing the functionality. And like I said, if you have a trouble when it's telling you're offline and you know you should be online, just do that troubleshooting trick. All right. So the functions below the Choose Site and Supervisor menu. Search is where you will search anything that has to do with the functionality that you need access to. So whether it's post orders that they've entered for your site, or it's a pass down log based on the entries done by the previous shift, the previous 24 hours worth of data will show there, or a person vehicle search. And this one is like a police capability where if data has been collected in the past on a particular person or on a vehicle, whether it be license plates or parking violations or suspicious person with a picture or whatever else. You can click this and you can do a search, using different type of fields to look up. Is this person banned from the property? Do you want to know that data? Just hit search and it'll show you everybody in the system that way. So anything that has to do with searching some data is here. And if you're about to do an incident report, I recommend always doing a person vehicle search first, because that person may already be in the system and have some incidents against them. So that is your first button you'll have on top as a security officer, unless you have supervisor or choose site functions. Report forms, you're going to see there's 2 there right now while it's spinning, but when it was done spinning, it recognized via satellite that I am here, and it gave me a special custom form that I am supposed to do. So your managers will be creating custom forms that might go with different sites throughout the system. And if you are on that site, or if you've chosen that site, if you have the capability, either way, you will see that custom form is there for you to do. So this has, I built this form over in the custom forms here. Take pictures, get a signature, check boxes, all kinds of stuff, whatever it is that your management has designed that you should be able to access and do these custom forms and reports for this location. Again, the back arrow takes you right back. So that was under the report section. You got your incident reports and your person vehicle reports. This will expand out. You'll have additional visitor reports. You'll have all kinds of stuff that'll grow in here. But again, this is the first video for the new app, and this is what's going to be in here, including any custom forms, again, that are specific to this location. So incident report, by the way, person vehicle could be for anything. It could be, your, and by the way, your management can create the different types of persons and vehicles that they want you reporting on for location under system settings over here. But if once the site is recognized via satellite, or you can choose it if you have that ability, then you can choose from the different types of persons or vehicles that they have given you access to write on. Now, this is not an incident report. This just may be a person of interest or a parking violation, which may also be an incident report. But this is just if you're collecting data directly on the person or the vehicle. If you change the vehicle, the fields change accordingly. So it depends on if you're going to be doing a person or a vehicle report, that will change accordingly. Now, an incident report allows you to report on an incident that has occurred and then attach a person vehicle report if need be. So when you hit submit on the incident report, it's going to give you the option to return to menu when you're done, or to attach additional persons and vehicles. And you can attach, 10 different people, 10 different persons reports with 4 pictures for each one if you need to. So incident report might just be 1 page long, or it might be 32 pages long with 60 pictures, whatever it takes there. That is, again, your search capability to look up things that have to do with persons and vehicles you may have had in the past, your post orders, and your pass down log. And then we just covered the report forms, which will include the standard forms along with any custom forms that are supposed to be there for you since you're working in this location. Tours and patrols. Now, before we go in here, I'm going to mention, especially for you that have used this, our previous apps, random tours can be done anytime by just doing your activities and scans like always. Activities and scans, they go into your daily activity reports, they go into your shift reports, they go into your client activity. All that stuff is covered just by doing activity forms and scans, whether you're scanning NFC or QR. Tours is if the management has scheduled tours that are supposed to be done at specific times. But again, it is not necessary with the system. It will create all the reports just by doing activities and scans. But if there are tours supposed to be done at a particular time, this is where you're going to find those tours. Now, I'm already past due to do this report, so it's going to have sent a email to my management letting them know that I was more than 10 minutes late to do the report. Yeah, so I'm more than 10 minutes late to do the report. But this would be counting down otherwise, and in the very near future, it will also give you a pop-up and even make an audible sound soon. But for right now, it's going to just count down so you can check your tours to see if there are any tours when you get on shift. I click on the tour. It asks me if I want to start the tour. I say yes. And I confirm that I am starting the tour here at this location. This particular tour has been set up to be a virtual tour by my management. There are different ways you can do a tour. You can do a scan tour, in which case none of these arrows will be here. You can do what is called a task tour, which will kind of be like activities. Make sure all of the residents' doors are locked at all times. Make sure there are no toys in the pool. You know, all these activities that are supposed to be done in this time frame. In the case where you see an arrow, whether it's a virtual tour or a task tour, you can actually click on it without scanning anything. And it opens the form just as if you have scanned it. I can then, whether I've scanned it because it was a scan tour, which is requiring, which will be most of the time, or a, like I said, a task or a virtual tour where you're basically just doing, you know, the activities as you go throughout. Maybe it's a residence where they don't want NFC tags or QR stuck on the building, whatever it is, there would be reasons that management would give you this type of tour. It's already filled in for you here. I can take a picture. And I can take a number of pictures and they'll just all pile up here. I can touch in here and touch my microphone. All clear at the offices. Submit. Tells me that it's been added successfully. I say okay. Turns green. I go to the next one. I either scan it if there's no arrow, or I can touch the arrow and it opens the form. If I need to pause the tour, I simply touch pause tour, and then I can go back to the main screen and go about my business. And then I can resume the tour. Whereas if I end the tour, which I'm going to do now, even though I haven't done all this stuff. By the way, you can scroll up and down to see all the points. There's a clock in here. There's a clock out. I should have done that first, but it doesn't matter. In this case, you're just going to go about doing your tour. Let's say that I'm going to end the tour early for some reason. It's going to tell me as an officer that I have not done these checkpoints yet. And it's going to ask me to, fill in there why I have not done that. I give a reason. It tells you up top here. Now, if I do not want to give a reason and I just end the tour, it's going to say, please enter tour reason. Okay. Emergency at home. End tour. Boom, the tour is ended. I cannot resume that tour. That means that I've finished the tour, whatever the reason was that I gave, and now my management is going to get an email letting them know that that tour was not finished and the reason it was not finished. Activity forms and scans. Again, these go into creating the same thing that tours do. You're going to get your activity reports and all that other stuff, but these are timed. That's the difference for your management to understand that if they want to set it up for a time frame you're supposed to do it, it's done under tours. Otherwise, you can go about doing activities and scans all day long. You do not have to ever touch the tours button unless you've been instructed to. So that really covers all the functionality of the mobile app, except for the features which are additional features, permissions given to supervisors and managers. For an officer, you may see just scan QR or just scan FC, or you may see both like this. That depends on how your management has set you up to view this. The NFC are the little round checker looking things, usually white in color, but can be different colors. And the QRs, those look kind of like barcodes in a sense. And so those are what those two are. Register NFC. I'm going to touch on that first because this is a function that is going to be there for managers level 1 and 2. Register NFC is going to allow me as a manager to register the NFC tags that I have entered in the system over here. So once I enter all the tag names that I want under sites, which we covered in the management piece, I then select where I am, which is recognized via satellite, or I have chosen a different location, which we'll cover next. And I choose the name of the checkpoint that I want to register to this NFC tag. I'm going to call this the South Dumpster. I touch Register NFC. I touch OK. Make sure to touch OK first. I then hold it next to it like it told me to do, and it says it was successfully written. I say OK. When I say next to it, I mean up against it. Depending on the case, depending on the device, NFC stands for Near Field Communication, and you have to touch that thing and move it around a little bit sometimes. All right, so I have registered the NFC as a manager. This button will not be there for the security officers. Now, if you want to test it as a manager, you can touch Scan NFC, and it just tells you to hold it close. You do so, and it opens that South Dumpster that we just programmed there, so that now the NFC tag is written. I recommend that you, as a manager, register all of your NFC tags while you're sitting at the desk at the location or what have you. Instead of like putting them all up around the property first and then going around and registering them, do them all in the comfort of the office at that location where you have a good Wi-Fi signal, because you need a signal to register them, but you don't need a signal to scan them. So if you get in some bad reception area where you've stuck an NFC tag and there's no reception, you're not going to be able to register it, but your officers will be able to scan it. So just register all the NFC tags, take a little piece of masking tape and label them, and then take them out and stick them up afterwards. That's just a recommendation for level 1 and 2 managers. So that's what the Register NFC button does. Now, Choose Site and Supervisor menu, those are going to be there for the officers and managers who you've given that permission level. Level 1 and 2 managers automatically have these functions, and we'll cover that in the management piece. Choose Site allows for the supervisor or manager to choose from all of the sites that they have been given access to. So you're going to see there is now another site in here called OfficerMetrics, which if I choose that and I choose HQ, now, because I've chosen something else, it says, okay, it's changed successfully. Now I go in and do an activity form, or I do incident report, or whatever I do, it's now filled in with that location. So what the Choose Site button does is it allows those managers and supervisors that you have given this permission to choose locations that they are not at. And you see it changed from the word Choose Site to Change Site once I did that. So you can change between all the different sites that, again, you have access to, if you have given that permission to perhaps a supervisor who is able to go back to the office and complete incident reports they would have started earlier, what have you. Supervisor menu. Finally, this will be the last thing we cover in the mobile app. This has many of the same functions of the current apps, where you can do a site inspection form as a supervisor at that location. You can do an employee discipline form. You can search officers in the system. So, particularly when there are hundreds of officers and some of our clients, thousands, you can type in the name of the officer that's supposed to be at that location, and it will pull up all the data on that individual. Right now, it's just showing the different officers that have done things there. But if you put in the officer's name and hit search, then it will allow you to look at the different pull up the information on that officer, whether it include a photo or phone number or email address, whatever, if you haven't found the officer that's supposed to be on site at that location. Incident report search is what it sounds like. You can search incident reports from a previous time. And again, this function, supervisor menu, is there for level 1 and 2 management as well, and whatever other levels management has given access to. Client activity, scan activity, officer activity, clock in and out activity. These are just real-time situational awareness things where you can put in, you know, I want to see what's been going on from this date to that date. And, well, I'll have to find out why that was showing from, oh, that's because nothing was done at that location. That's why. Everything is being done at the other location. So I'm going to go back and change site just to show you the power of this thing. Change back to a location where things have been done. Hit search. Okay. Now, when I go into the supervisor menu and I do a client activity search, I hit search, boom, shows me up to the minute what's been going on out there. So that is the breakdown of the mobile app, which will be expanding, and you'll see more and more functionality in here, but the core functions have been covered. Other things will again just be to make it simple for you, and additional reports will appear in here and so forth. Your name will appear right here. Once you have logged in, you'll see your name, and you can switch it back and forth to light and dark mode. You can access your user manual in the upper right, and you can log out up here when this is green, or if you clock out, it will clock out once everything is passed through and log you out automatically. I hope this has helped. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you along the way.